Making headlines this hour, President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom sends birthday felicitations to the Emperor of Japan, Akito, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the occasion of Japanese Emperor's birthday. Minister of Environment and Energy says 9 separate projects to protect the shorelines of environmentally vulnerable islands has been completed. And an Israeli court remands the arrest of an Arab-Israeli lawmaker suspected of smuggling mobile phones for Palestinian security convicts in an Israeli jail. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and good evening. You are watching TVM News in English. I am Zinat Hassan here with the news in details. President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom sends birthday felicitations to the Emperor of Japan, Akito, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the occasion of Japanese Emperor's birthday. In separate messages sent to the Japanese Emperor and Prime Minister, President Yamin extended warm greetings and sincere good wishes of the government and the people of the Maldives to the government and the people of Japan on the auspicious occasion of Emperor's birthday. He also expressed his hopes for further consolidation of the friendly relations existing between the two countries in the coming years. In his message, President Yamin also extended his well wishes for the good health and well-being of the Japanese Emperor and for the continued progress and prosperity of the friendly people of Japan. The Emperor's birthday is a national holiday in the Japanese calendar, celebrated on the 23rd December of each year. The date is determined by the reigning Emperor's birth date. Emperor Akito was born on 23rd of December 1933. Ministry of Environment and Energy says 9 separate projects to protect the shorelines of environmentally vulnerable islands has been completed. The ministry said that 171 million rupiah were spent on these projects. Environment Ministry is currently conducting shoreline protection projects in another 6 islands at a cost of 85 million rupiah. In addition to these projects, Ministry of Environment is conducting several environment-related projects in various islands. These projects are funded by the state budget and foreign loan aids. According to the Environment Ministry, over 17 islands have reported cases of coastal erosion this year. The ministry further revealed that the survey teams are visiting these islands to gather information. Coastal erosion is the wearing away of land and the removal of beach or dune sediments by wave action, tidal currents, wave currents, drainage or high winds. Waves generated by storms, wind or fast-moving motorcraft cause coastal erosion, which may take the form of long-term losses of sediments and rocks or merely the temporary redistribution of coastal sediments. Erosion in one location may result in accretion nearby. Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Dr. Mohammad Muiz says the Thinadhu Museum Park will be completed by the end of next month. Minister Muiz said that the park area of the Thinadhu Museum Park will be completed by the end of this month and that the ministry aims to complete the museum area by the end of next month. The park will have 3 separate buildings, which is the museum building, an auditorium and a library. The Thinadhu Museum Park will depict the history and culture of both the island and the country. The 25 million rupiah Thinadhu Museum Park project is undertaken jointly by Housing Ministry, Youth Ministry, Maldives Transport and Contracting Company MTCC and Maldives Road Development Corporation MRDC. Malay Water and Sewerage Company MWC says that the company is planning to establish divisional outlets in various islands. Managing Director of MWC Fazil Ahmed said that the company provides basic services to the people and that it is important to widen their services to other areas of the country. Speaking about the strategic plan of MWC, Fazil said that the company aims to establish outlets in the islands, including service centers and bottling factories. He further said that establishing these outlets would cut down the logistic cost of the company. He added that while the nearby islands would also benefit from these outlets, it would also create several job opportunities in the area. MWSC saw the largest income registered in the company's history in 2015 by generating 963 million rupiah. Tonight in business, Maldives Monetary Authority (MMA) is to conduct a survey on the spending habits of Maldives abroad starting from tomorrow. MMA revealed that it will ask travellers the details of the countries they visit, the duration and the expenditure they made. MMA further said that the purpose of the survey is to establish a record of financial interactions between Maldivians and foreigners. The survey will go ahead at INIA from 24th to 30th of this month. The Maldives Central Bank conducted a similar survey at the Ibrahim Nasir International Airport in last year. Chief Executive Officer of Boeing Company Dennis Muilenburg meets with President-elect Donald Trump. The meeting was held to address the concerns about the replacement cost for Air Force One, which Trump has complained would top $4 billion. "We are going to get it done for less than that," Muilenburg told reporters after the meeting, saying that he discussed a range of topics with Trump. "This is a business that's important to US. We work on Air Force One because it's important to our country, and we're going to make sure that he gets the best capability and that it's done affordably," Muilenburg said. Earlier this month, Trump tweeted a complaint against the cost of Boeing's revamped Air Force One plan, a prominent symbol of the US presidency, and urged the government to cancel its order. The Italian government approves a decree to bail out Monte dei Paschi di Siena after the world's oldest bank failed to win investor backings for a life-saving capital increase.
Looking to end a protracted crisis that had risked paralyzing the whole banking sector, Prime Minister Paolo Gentiloni said his cabinet has authorized a €20 billion fund to help lenders in distress. Within minutes of the late-night cabinet meeting ending, Monte dei Paschi, Italy's third-largest lender, issued a statement saying it would request state aid, opening the way for the country's biggest bank nationalization in decades. The government has said its long-awaited salvage operation will work within European Union rules, meaning some Monte dei Paschi bondholders will be forced to accept shares and lose at least some of their initial investment. But looking to the head of an outcry from around 40,000 retail savers who had bought the bank's junior debt, the government and the Monte dei Paschi promised protection for high street investors who might have bought the bonds unaware of the risks. Monte dei Paschi emerged as the weakest of some 51 European banks subjected to stress test earlier this year by the European Central Bank. It was given until the end of the year to sort out its problems of faith being worn down. The collapse of Monte dei Paschi would have threatened the saving of thousands of Italians and could have had devastated the wider banking sector, which is saddled with €356 billion of bad loans, a third of the Eurozone's total. The government said full details of the rescue plan have yet to be worked out, but it outlined the counters in a statement. Italian economic minister said that the intervention will be guaranteed the capital requirement of Monte dei Paschi and will therefore allow the bank to proceed with its business plan, which European authorities will need to approve. He said that it will be the third Italian bank which finally will return to operate at full throttle in support of the Italian economy and with the confidence of its savers and employees. If the government uses all €20 billion it is authorized to spend on the banking sector, it will worsen the country's already difficult debt position. Italy's debt stands at some 133% of gross domestic product, GDP, second only to Greece in the Eurozone. A further €20 billion of debt will push the ratio above 134%.
An airliner on an internal flight in Libya was hijacked by a man claiming to have a hand grenade on Friday and diverted to Malta, where it landed with 118 people on board. The hijacker told crew he was pro-Gaddafi and that he was willing to let all 111 passengers leave the Airbus A320, but not its 7 crew, if his demands were met, the Times of Malta said. It was unclear what the demands were. Some media reports said there was more than one hijacker. Former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed in an uprising in 2011, and the country has been wrecked by factional violence since. Troops took up positions a few hundred meters from the plane as it stood on the tarmac, and no one was seen boarding or leaving it. The aircraft's engines were still running 45 minutes after it landed late in the morning, the Times of Malta said. Some other flights at Malta International Airport were cancelled or diverted, it said. A senior Libyan security official told Reuters that when the plane was still in flight on Friday morning, the pilot told the control tower at Tripoli's Mitiga Airport it had been hijacked. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi derides his political rival Rahul Gandhi a day after the Vice President of main opposition Congress party accused the Prime Minister of receiving millions in kickbacks. Gandhi had alleged that two corporate houses paid rupees 7.65 million in unaccounted money to Modi in run-up to 2014 Parliament polls. The Prime Minister, who was addressing a rally in poll-bound northern Uttar Pradesh state, took a jibe at Gandhi for his recent remark where the Congress Vice President had said there would be an earthquake if he was allowed to speak in the Parliament. Modi also took a pot shot at his predecessor Manmohan Singh for criticizing his dream of making India a cashless economy. Taking money from corporate houses is not a crime for political parties in India, but any amount above rupees 20,000 should be through banking system. Indian elections are largely fought on unaccounted money, which are donated by the big business houses to the political parties. An Israeli court remands the arrest of an Arab-Israeli lawmaker suspected of smuggling mobile phones for Palestinian security convicts in an Israeli jail.
60-year-old Knesset member Bassel Gathas was arrested late on Thursday, and a magistrate's court extended his detention by 4 days. Gathas would not comment to reporters at the court. His lawyer Namir Idelbi did not say whether the lawmaker denied or admitted any wrongdoing. He said there was no justification for keeping his client under arrest. Idelbi told reporters at the court that the case was clearly a political matter. Attorney General Avichai Mandelblatt said Gathas was caught on police surveillance video on Sunday, handing 4 envelopes he had staged in his court to a Palestinian prisoner jailed for 15 years for security offences. It was reported that immediately after the arrest of Bassel Gathas, the prison guard searched the prisoner and found 4 envelopes which contained 12 mobile phones, 16 SIM cards, 2 chargers and 1 earphone. Gathas initially denied he had smuggled in envelopes, but after being shown the video, he admitted taking them in but said he did not know they contained telephones. Gathas's Balad party is part of the Joint Arab List faction, a conglomeration of 4 Arab factions that holds 13 seats in the 120-member Knesset. Balad members are particularly vocal in supporting Palestinian causes. Balad has often drawn anger from Israeli lawmakers who accuses its members of inciting violence and being disloyal to the state. At least 231 Palestinians have been killed in violence in Israel, the occupied West Bank and the Gaza Strip since October 2015. Others died during clashes and protests.
China's National Health and Family Planning Commission says that the risk of large-scale human infection of avian flu was still low after 2 humans died from the virus this winter. Anhui province has reported 5 cases of H7N9 avian flu since December 8, including the 2 people who died, while Macau reported its first human infection of the strain since the former Portuguese colony returned to China in 1999. Asked about the virus, the Commission's spokesman Mao Nuan said at the moment individual cases might happen, but risk of human infection was low. The Anhui cases bring the total number of people infected with the H7N9 virus in mainland China this month to at least 7. H7N9 had not been detected in either humans or animals in China until March 2013. According to the World Health Organization, the strain does not seem to transmit easily from person to person, and sustained human-to-human infection has not been reported. The danger with any such virus is that it mutates and acquires genetic changes that might increase its pandemic potential. Samsung Electronics Company's $18 million sponsorship of an equestrian team that includes the daughter of a close friend of President Park Geun-hye has embroiled South Korea's top company in the country's biggest political corruption scandal.
Without any public announcement, Samsung, a major sponsor of sports events such as the Olympic Games, agreed last year to pay $18 million to Core Sport International GmbH, a consulting firm controlled by Choi Soon-sil, Park's longtime friend. That included the purchase of a horse costing over $1 million for Chung Yura, Choi's 20-year-old daughter, who has won an Asian Games medal for a team equestrian event. Video footage obtained by South Korea's main opposition Democratic Party's legislature, Park Young-soon, showed Chung practicing in Germany in 2015. Park's office claimed the horse in the video was purchased by Samsung. Chung and Park Jae-hong, her coach and also a show jumper, are the only members of the team so far, according to an internal document, a copy of which was obtained by Reuters. Samsung Group head J.Y. Lee admitted the sponsorship was inappropriate. The admission came at the end of a bad year for Samsung Electronics, South Korea's largest company by revenue and market capitalization. Lee told the parliament panel this month there was a reason the group felt compelled to fund the equestrian team, but he did not say what the reason was. In October, it had to discontinue its fire-prone Galaxy Note 7 smartphone at a cost estimated at over $5 billion. This sponsorship deal has come to the fore as prosecutors try to ascertain whether Samsung sought favors in return for its contribution to Choi-backed enterprises. Samsung also approved $1.3 million to a foundation run by Choi's niece, and along with Samsung affiliates, another $1.7 million to two foundations set up to support Park's initiatives. Special prosecutors said that they raided the Health Ministry, the Office of the National Pension Service, and some officials to secure evidence of Samsung's bribe offering to Choi. Choi is now in jail as she undergoes trial as an accomplice to abuse of power and attempted fraud in the scandal that led Parliament to impeach Park earlier this month. Prosecutors have also issued a warrant for Chung's arrest. Her lawyers have said she is in Germany with her child.
Police in western Indian state of Gujarat detains over 250 people at a wedding party for allegedly consuming liquor despite prohibition laws in the province. Based on a tip-off, police raided the farmhouse where a businessman was hosting his daughter's wedding reception in Vadodara city. Police say 260 persons, including foreign nationals and former commissioner of Indian Premier League Chirayu Amin, were detained. They were sent to hospital to test their blood samples. Vadodara Superintendent of Police Saurabh Tolambia said the seized liquor was worth over $1,800 and the investigation was on to find out from whom they procured the liquor. According to the prohibition laws in Gujarat, consuming liquor is punishable with up to 3 years in jail. China says the government was paying attention to President-elect Donald Trump's Twitter post where he called for an expansion of the United States' nuclear capabilities.
On Thursday, Trump tweeted that the United States must greatly strengthen and expand its nuclear capability until such time as the world comes to its senses regarding nukes. He gave no further details. It was not clear what prompted his comment. However, on Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Russia needed to strengthen the military potential of strategic nuclear forces. In Beijing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying reiterated the government's stance on the abolition of nuclear weapons. The United States is one of the 5 nuclear weapon states allowed to keep a nuclear arsenal under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The others are Russia, Britain, France and China. Trump, who was elected on November 8, campaigned on a platform of building up the U.S. military, but also pledged to cut taxes and control federal spending. During the next decade, U.S. ballistic missile submarines, bombers and land-based missiles, the 3 legs of the nuclear triad, are expected to reach the end of their useful lives. According to independent estimates, maintaining and modernizing the arsenal is expected to cost about $1 trillion over 30 years.
Tonight in sports, the English Premier League club Chelsea confirms on its website that the Brazilian international midfielder Oscar will join Chinese club Shanghai SIPG next month. Although no financial details of the transfer was released, media reports suggest Shanghai paid €60 million for Oscar. The 25-year-old Oscar, who will join compatriots Hulk and Al-Khazan at Shanghai, lifted the Premier League, League Cup and Europa League during his 4.5-year spell at Chelsea. Arsenal's manager Arsene Wenger says that the defeat in their past 2 Premier League games does not detract from their consistency, and they will respond in a strong and determined way. The Gunners are 4th in the league, just 1 point above Tottenham, having lost against Manchester City last Sunday and Everton the previous Tuesday. He also defended German midfielder Mesut Ozil, who, like teammate Alexis Sanchez, has been criticized by some fans and media while reportedly asking for higher wages. Arsenal next hosts West Bromwich Albion on Boxing Day, and Wenger praised the club and manager Tony Pulis. That's all we have for you this evening. Thanks for being with us. Good night and bye-bye.